Hi, I'm Steve Casely from CBT Nuggets, and this nugget is focused on directing a project. The Prince2 process area focused on providing the management overview and the management support for successful project delivery. Directing a project, again, acronym DP, is all about approving and authorizing the projects. Directing a project is that continuous process that happens. If you think back to the model that we looked at, this is the one process that goes across the top, is continuous throughout the entire Prince2 project management lifecycle, where we have senior management engaged in our project to authorize our projects, to provide the required management support so that we have an escalation point when things are going wrong in our project and we need to enlist senior management support. And they are there, as said, for project escalation and for general project support. There are no formal outcomes from directing a project, but the true outcomes from directing a project is the approval for the project. We get sign off from a stage that says this stage is complete, your deliverables from this stage are complete, and you have satisfied the expectations of what it is the stage is going to do, and we have approval to proceed. We have approval to proceed to the next stage. I've reviewed your stage plan. The stage plan is consistent with how we should be delivering projects in our organization, and I've reviewed your stage plan, and it is appropriate based on the updated business case and the updated cost-benefit justification. You have approval to proceed. And of course, the other key outcome, as discussed already, is management support. Keeping senior management engaged in the project so they're there to support us when things go bad on the project. And unfortunately, I think we have to expect things will go bad on the project occasionally, not often, and we need to have directing a project fully engaged and active for those times. And while there are no true deliverables from directing a project, again DP, there are specific activities. There are 5 activities that we expect senior management to complete to ensure our project success. There are 5 activities that we expect senior management to be aware of and commit their time and attention to our project to work at these 5 activities. And these are the authorized initiation, to validate the eureka moment, to get engaged when we are initiating the project and to say, yes, this project makes sense. And then they remain engaged throughout the project to authorize the project at every stage and to authorize the project deliverables. We need them for management support. They're there. The Prince2 term is to give ad hoc support. They authorize the stages, and they authorize any exception plan. So if we have to manage by exception, if we do escalation, that we have a performance target that is out of tolerance, and we have to raise it to senior management, they're there to approve the action to deal with the management by exception. And they're certainly there to authorize project closure and say, yes, Steve has done an awesome job on this project, or Steve's at least done an okay job on this project, and all of the expectations for the project have been delivered. The code is satisfactory. Yes, this project is done. And the first activity in Direct the Project, DP, is Authorize Initiation. This is again where we present the eureka moment, where we present the project description, the project brief, our outline business case to senior management, and present the cost justification to senior management and get their approval that says, yes, this project makes sense. This is a good use for our scarce corporate resources. Please proceed and begin to plan this project. So the specific activities we expect them to do within this is to review the project product description. This is going to be created by the business, or at least owned by the business, but this is one document where I would suggest we truly need the business to take the ownership and to author the document, because this is where the business is outlining their problem, or again, the term that I've used in the past, their pain. This is where I'm having challenges. This is where I seek improvement. This is where I need Steve's help. This is where I need IT's help to develop a project to remove my pain. So they're going to review the product description and say, yes, this makes sense. I agree with you, business. I agree with Steve's very preliminary assessment of how we're going to solve this. Yes, let's proceed. And part of doing that is going to review the business case outline or the project brief, the project charter if we're going to use some other non-Prince2 terms. But this is where we're going to review that high level plan. And the key thing to remember at this point in time is that it's high level, it's preliminary. How many other words can I put in there that says we don't have a lot of accuracy? We have accuracy plus or minus as a minimum of 100%, and it could be an even broader range than that. So although we may be going in and saying this is going to be a $50,000 project, what we're really saying, this project could range anywhere from a low of $25,000 to a high of $100,000. And I recognize that's a very big range, but that's the degree of accuracy we have at this stage. And it's important that senior management, when they're directing a project, when they're specifically authorizing initiation, understand that these are high-level preliminary outlines, project briefs. Again, pick the words that you want, but we don't have a lot of precision at this point in time, but we're seeking approval to proceed to get more precision. We're seeking approval to say, yes, this is a good plan. We have validated the eureka moment. Yes, it makes sense to proceed. And we're going to begin to commit the project resources, most specifically the project manager. We're going to get Steve or yourself assigned to this project, and we're going to proceed to narrow down that plus or minus 100% and make it a plus or minus even a 50% as we begin to develop better, more realistic, more thought out plans for completing the project. Our next key activity that takes place in directing a project is authorize the project. And authorize the project is going to take place after the initiate the project is done. And again, I realize some of these terms are going to get hard to put into context. These are activities that we expect project senior management to be doing. Senior management is going to authorize the project. Senior management is going to authorize the project after the initiate the project process. So after we've gone through and done that hard work to develop our communications, our risk, our quality, our configuration, our project plan, and develop our PID, our project initiation document, we're going to present that PID to senior management, and senior management in their process directing the project is going to say, yes, this makes sense. So again, just trying to put this into a bit of context, this is where senior management is going to review the PID. They're going to confirm the project's objectives. They're going to review our PID. They're probably going to have some senior management meetings. They're going to talk to their peers in senior management in the business area and say, does all of this make sense? Is this what your guy wants or your gal wants? They're going to validate the business case. Based on these costs and these justifications, these benefits, does this make sense? Is this the right place to invest our corporate dollars? And finally, and I hope we're going to get approval of the project plan. They're going to say the PID is good to go, and we're going to then start the project. So there's significant overlap between these senior management activities in direct the project and the project management activities we have in our other process areas. So with the context of how those approval processes fit into the overall Prince2 project management processes, this next direct the project activity is a much more simpler to put into context because it's giving ad hoc support. This is where senior management provides the support and the advice to our project whenever and however needed. This is where they're available to help us do our job. They're going to advise the PM, they're going to make suggestions, they're going to review results, they're going to use their experience, been there, done that, walked 5,000 miles in the PM's shoes, and simply help the PM do a better job of delivering the project. But in order for them to do that, and this is where I really truly insist that I need my senior management engaged in my project, is they need to stay current with the status. I don't believe senior management can give effective ad hoc support if they're distant and removed. They have no involvement with my project for weeks or months or even quarters, and then all of a sudden a situation comes up that I need to go to them for ad hoc support. I don't want to have to spend hours or even days briefing them of where the project is. I want senior management to stay current with the status, and that's as simple as reading my status reports. I certainly don't expect senior management to attend my status meetings, and I don't expect senior management to meet daily with me. As a matter of fact, I really don't want senior management to meet daily with me to understand the project status, but I want them reading my status reports, as a minimum my monthly status reports, but preferably if my direct managers read my weekly status reports, stay current with my project status, then they're there aware of any of the issues, any of the concerns, and are there to help me with the ad hoc support that I need, and they're going to help me make decisions as needed. This is that power and authority thing. I have power and authority by the sheer fact that I am the PM, but as we've discussed already, we have management by exception. I have power and authority to take actions on behalf of my project, provided that the tolerances, the variations, are less than my tolerance levels. And as soon as it exceeds my tolerance levels, I need to get management involved, and I need them to help support those exception reports. A key project tolerance, a key project measurement, has exceeded my ability to manage within my power and authority, and I need you, my boss, senior management, to get engaged and help me make my project more successful. Again, to repeat, I hope not an issue you have with your senior management, but one that I have encountered at various times in my career, is keeping my management engaged enough in my project that they're there, active, knowledgeable, and ready to provide that ad hoc support to help with the exception reports as needed. And our final two activities from directing a project or for senior management support, I think fit into our life cycle very easily and don't take a lot of explanation of how they interact with the Prince2 project management life cycle or project management processes. We need bosses to authorize each stage, and we need bosses to approve our actions as just discussed on our exception plans. Basically, we need the boss to approve each stage plan. That means we need to approve / accept the current stage plan. You have completed all of the deliverables. The deliverables are acceptable. Yes, you have completed all of the work. We declare this stage closed, and we need to approve the next stage plan that says, yes, you have identified all of the actions in the project lifecycle. You have completed analysis, and now you're ready to start design. And yes, this is a complete, thorough, functional plan to complete all of the design activities for this project. You're following your project lifecycle appropriately. Yes, we support your estimates. Yes, you think your resourcing is good. Yes, the project plan is complete. And we've also reviewed the business case, and we've also revalidated the cost-benefit justification for this project. Yes, you have approval to proceed to the next stage. Let's continue on this project. And as just discussed, we're going to get engaged, they're going to support, they're going to approve. Again, this is the power and authority. At times, when our tolerances, our exceptions exceed our range, again, let's assuming it's 10%, and we escalate this to management for approval, management is going to expect us to come to them with an exception plan. My schedule has now exceeded 10%. My schedule variance is now running at 12%. Here is my plan to deal with the schedule. And they're going to review it with me. They're going to ask me all kinds of hard questions. They're going to grill me. And probably at the end of the day, they're going to say, yes, Steve, you have done exactly what we would have done. We truly approve of your plan to deal with these schedule variances of 12%. We understand this is out of your tolerance. This is an exception you're taking to us. And we have the power and authority. This is a key thing, is the second that tolerance exceeds our power and authority, 10%, we don't just throw up our hands and say, oh, phew, I've been worrying about this for days. Now it's finally out of my hands. Boss, I have a problem. Go fix it. I don't think that's a career enhancing move. So when we need to escalate, we're not simply going to escalate, say, here, boss, here's a problem. We're going to escalate to the boss, here's a problem. Here's everything I've done to date to deal with these problems. Here's my plan that I think we need to continue to act upon. I need your approval. I need your power and authority. So again, this is where that concept of exception plans comes into place. We've exceeded our tolerance, but we're still continuing to be in charge. We're simply bringing in the wise, seasoned experts from our management team, from directing our project, to help us vet, to improve our plan, to make it their plan, and then they're going to proceed and approve it. And our final direct the project activity for senior management is authorize project close. Much like they're going to do at the end of every stage, they're going to accept the deliverables from the last stage, and they're going to accept all of the deliverables from the project, saying, yes, Steve, the team has completed everything that they promised to do. And they're going to go a little bit further than that. They're going to validate the completion. They're going to make sure that all of the I's and T's have been dotted and crossed, that the project is truly 100% complete. And as discussed already, there's often a lot of project closure activities that go above and beyond the production of the formal deliverables. Is it running? Do we have warranty support? Do we have desk side support? Do we have all of those other nuances that are required to make this project 100%? Have we done that extra mile beyond producing the formal project deliverables and taken that extra mile to ensure that prod support, that our midnight operators, that the person at their desk doing their job understands, that the extra training, the extra support, that in fact we are truly at that 100% level? Or are there some extra duties and responsibilities that need to be done either under the guise of the project or under the guise of existing production operations that needs to take place to ensure the results of this project truly achieve the benefits for which they were undertaken? Senior management is going to ensure we do our lessons learned, that we harvest our reusable artifacts, that the organization is better off not just for the results of the project, but we're better off from a best practices viewpoint. And then they're going to formally close the project, say this project is now closed, we're going to release the resources, and we're going to make this project team available to work on other sanctioned, approved project or operational activities within the project. Should be very brief, but is a formal process to ensure that we're getting everything we need out and that all of the adjustments to operations are in place to ensure the project is achieving 100% benefits. This concludes our nugget on directing a project, DP. This is where we get management, support, oversight, approval for our project. This is a continuous activity that happens throughout the entire project and sometimes can cause a little bit of misunderstanding as to how these various senior management directing a project activities fit into the overall project management Prince2 other processes. Recognizing that again, this is senior management, this is continuous throughout the entire life cycle, and this is where senior management come in and out of our project on an as needed basis based on where we are in project delivery. The first process is authorize initiation. This says yes, makes sense. Again, Steve's statement is this is the validation of the eureka moment, this brainy idea that a business person had in the shower on the way to work has validity. Let's continue and develop a project plan at least to make sure that we're working on the right projects. With the project plan, with formal planning completed, we will then say this is the project plan, this is the cost, this is the schedule, this is the approach, this is what it's going to take to get this project done, and we get a second validation that at the end of planning, that the project continues to make sense, and now we're ready to bring in the team and start to do the full delivery for the project. Throughout the project, senior management is going to be there to give ad hoc support to ensure that we're doing the right things and providing support for us as we need to manage by exception and escalate material to senior management. They're going to approve every stage, that the stage itself is complete, that we've done the things we promised to do, and they're going to approve the next stage, that the updated project plan, the updated business case, the updated cost-benefit justification still makes sense, that this is still an appropriate project to be working on. They're going to give us approval to proceed, and they're going to work with us on any exception plans to deal with any project challenges that are running out of tolerances and help us bring the project back in line. And then finally, senior management is going to approve project closure and make sure that the project has achieved its results, make sure that the organization is prepared and ready to use this project and gain maximum benefits from its results, and ensure that the organization is better off, that our best practices has been improved as a result of the lessons learned on this project. This concludes your nugget on directing a project, the Prince2 process where we get senior management engaged in our project. I hope this module has been informative for you, and thank you very much for viewing.